Hi everyone, this is Shauna from In the Upper Room. Both Dwayne and myself pray that you and your families are doing well during this unprecedented time. We at LAPA want to thank you for standing by us. You've always stood by LAPA, and now we are standing by you.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? This is Omar from Showtime TV, Comcast Channel 190. Listen, I want everybody to stay safe, wear your mask, keep the 6 feet distance. But also every Sunday, tune in from 12 to 10 on LAPA TV, Channel 190. God bless.
Hi, this is Angela Harris with When You Need to Know on LAPA Channel 190. Coming to wish you all to stay safe, follow the guidelines, wear your masks, stay 6 feet apart. Remember that other people are also out there trying to be safe.
Hi, this is Jack Kim from the Hard Talk with Jack Kim. Listen, I know the COVID-19's got us crazy, but you can always rest assured for those great shows on LAPA TV, Comcast 190. Remember, LAPA TV, Comcast 190. Stay safe. Peace.
Hello, everybody. I know you missed me because I miss you. This is Charles Carter Jr. from The Bottom Line. We want everyone to be safe, wear your mask, wear your gloves, and wear a lot of love and protect other people.
Hi everyone, this is Yolanda from Real Talk with Yolanda. I miss you all, and here at LAPA TV on Comcast 190, we want to wish you the best. Stay well.
Hello everyone, this is Carolyn Peake with Enjoy the Journey. Along with Helen and Camilla, we wish you to continue your journey on during this time, and for you to continually to wash your hands, put your mask on, and don't forget to stay 6 feet away because we want you around. And another thing, continually to watch us on LAPA 190 Comcast. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Welcome to another edition of Showtime TV Zoom edition. I have a very special guest. Well, she's been on my show a couple of times. I think this is part 4. Rochelle Wilson, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you so much once again, Showtime, for having me. You are always an awesome host. Thank you.
Okay, now this topic of discussion, ladies and gentlemen, is one-on-one with Rochelle Wilson. She's a mother, she's a community activist, she's a culture, political expert. What else? All right.
I am many things to many people. Some of them are wonderful and some not so much. It depends on your perspective.
Okay. Let's start off. I remember you were, I think when I first met you a little while ago, well, this is a little while back, you were involved with the African Rites of Passage. You were involved in Kwanzaa. So how did you get involved with the community, conscious community?
Well, I think my journey began probably with the Rites of Passage. That's when my culture and my background, it really became more prevalent. And I began to understand it because I was around cultural people. I was around, fist up Ungawa people. And so when you around those types of people, it makes you hungry for knowledge. And so I began to search the history. You have to understand the history of a thing, the root, in order to understand the fruit. So it started with rites of passage, but I've long studied beyond them now.
Oh, okay, got you. And now some years later, you recently, maybe about 2 or 3 years ago, developed a organization, Make Some Intelligent Noise. You want to talk about that?
So Make Some Intelligent Noise, MSIN movement, is a movement that really kind of just came to me through a spiritual dream at like 3:30 in the morning. My son was incarcerated in 2010 for a liquor store robbery, and the judge, it was in Georgetown, Delaware, which is a place that we know is good old boy country. And so when I began to study the law to understand the words that he had used, I then understood that something was wrong. 25 years for a liquor store robbery is something wrong with that. And so I began to study, and in the midst of that, I started a movement, Make Some Intelligent Noise. I didn't just want to go out making noise, you know, something that people, you know, my culture is very good at doing. We can just get right out there and start making noise.
Right.
But I wanted my noise to be intelligent. And so I began that journey in advocating for my son's immediate release from incarceration, wrongfully or over sentence incarceration by a racist judge.
You know, for a mother, if you could talk about that day when I'm quite sure you went to court with your son and the judge sends him to go to prison. Take us back and talk about that feeling when you heard that your son was going to go to prison. I mean, that had to be most devastating events in your lifetime.
I'll tell you, you know, Omar, there's been a lot of things in my life that has broken my heart, has hurt me or disappointed me, even confused me. But you learn to get through those things. Sitting in the courtroom that day after we had spoken with the public defender, and I knew nothing about the law. I didn't know a constitution. I didn't know criminal law, civil law. I knew nothing. But sitting there talking with that public defender that day and listening to the promises that he had assured us of how things were going to go, and then to sit there and watch people in front of my son be sentenced for similar crimes to 3 years and 6 years with 3 years of probation and all of these things. And then my son stood up. He was brought out in you know, he had on an orange uniform. He was brought out handcuffed and shackled, and the 2 police guards on both sides of him stood him in front of the podium. And the judge then began to say words that I won't go through right now, but he began to say words. At the time, I didn't understand them. And all I could hear was, you are to be remanded to the correction at level 5 for 25 years.
Wow.
When I heard that and I saw my son, he turned around and looked at me, and he almost fell out. He almost passed out. The guards on both sides of him had to hold him to keep him from buckling. Right. And he looked at me with this look that I will always remember. It haunts me at night. I turned to the friend that was with me and said, "What did he just say?" My friend said, 25 years. I jumped up in the middle of the courtroom. Wow. Judge, prosecutors, other people, everyone, I didn't care. And I screamed. I said, "No, no, no," from a place inside of my soul as a mother. And I took off running out of the courthouse, you know, down the steps and outside, and I grabbed a hold of a light post to keep me from passing out. And I think that's kind of how I felt,
Yeah.
you know.
So
Yeah.
some years later, you built this movement. What are your son's thoughts in terms of you building this movement to help those in prison?
Well, let me just say this first.
Okay.
When I got home, when my friend got me back to the house that day,
okay,
it was 30 days that I just laid in bed, basically having a breakdown. And I just laid in that bed. I mean, in my own filth, no shower, nothing. I didn't care. I just wanted to die. And then I heard something in a house by myself. No one else is there. I heard something say, "Get up, get up." I didn't understand it. I looked around and I'm like, hello, is someone in my house? Right. I laid back down in my misery, and again I heard this voice, this loud, strong voice say, "Get up. You cannot help him if you were laying in the bed."
Right.
From that day until this day, which is probably 11 years, I have been working on learning the law, studying. My son studies with me. He does better than I do. He's so much better at it than I am. I have to ask him questions. Right. But he studies 17 hours a day. I've studied. We go back and forth. Iron sharpens iron. And we have grown, and we keep each other strong, because it's very depressing. It is very depressing. It hurts. It breaks the heart. Right. It really breaks the heart. And my son is the kind of person, Showtime, that if he can't see it, smell it, touch it, or taste it, then it doesn't exist. He doesn't believe in it. So when I told him that I was going to start this movement, or that I had started this movement, he thought that I was just trying to build up his, encouragement, right, or, make him feel better. He didn't know that mommy was serious. Right. And so now, 3.5 years after I've started this movement, once I learned the law, I tell Justin what I'm doing, and he is amazed. He is amazed that I went from 0 to whatever number I am now, right. In 3.5 years. He's shocked.
Wow, that's good. You use the word movement, and right now in today's time, there's a big movement after the death of Mr. George Floyd. There's been a major protest across the United States, and even outside the United States. We had a couple of protests here in the city of Wilmington. Talk about the movement of the day in terms of stopping police brutality, and how that interchanges with your movement.
Well, obviously, I first and foremost want to say my absolute condolences to the George Floyd family. But when I look at the history, I say that historically, we have had centuries of George Floyds, of Breonna Taylors, of Philando Castile. We've had history, centuries of these types of murders and abuse to the black man, the black and brown and golden man. It's really nothing new. But I think that George Floyd, and I've said this, and I must be right, you're on point when other people are saying what you're saying. So George Floyd, in my opinion, was the straw that broke the camel's back. Right. And, it was just a point where people have had enough. I started a movement, and I had no idea and no direction on which way I was going, but the universe, the divine Holy Spirit, knew that my journey would put me in a place of journalism, right, to speak and advocate through media. And so that is now my position, and that is my movement. And I was there when the protesters were out. Right. Everything was peaceful. It was really good. And then the sun started to go down. Right. The sun began to set. And all of us, the activists, the advocates, the journalists, all of the adults, we went home. We got in our cars and we left. Right. But what we did, Showtime, was leave all of the young people out there to their own will and to their own emotional content and understanding. That, I don't know if that was good or bad, but what I can say, as much as they destroyed, they have actually built the movement, because America is listening. Because of what they did, as much as we don't like it, America is now listening, and we have a true movement. We had a legend that passed away last night, Representative John Lewis. I was watching documentaries of when he was in his younger days back in the 60s. He was protesting, he was demonstrating, he was attacked.
I mean, but that brother, he stood in the front line. So you want to say some words of encouragement to those like John Lewis? I mean, he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and so many others in the past.
I can honestly say that he is one of my heroes. Him, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, and so many other advocates, the original advocates, okay, the original protesters, the original activists. These are the people that I grew up. I'm a 60s baby, so, you know, the Black Panthers and all of that, that's what I know. And I commend them. And John Lewis, honestly, he's one of my heroes. So he will be greatly missed in the physical form, but understand and be very clear, his movement, his activism and advocacy will continue through the lives of those of us who will continue to be activists and advocate for civil rights and justice.
Right. You know, about over a month ago, I did a show. I had a group of women on there, and the topic of discussion was women of color who fear for their sons' lives. And I want to ask you the same question that I asked them. And that question was, when you're at the protest march, demonstrating and marching, do you think about your son?
Well, I have to answer that this way and say, I am always thinking about my son and his safety. Right. Because I realize that being an activist and an advocate with my son being incarcerated really is kind of like being a wild horse with reins on. I can't go but so far. I can only do so much because I don't want to put my son's life in jeopardy. He is in a place where people can become, you know, revengeful. If I do something out here that someone doesn't appreciate or doesn't support, they could try to take it out on my son who is behind the wall. So I'm always very mindful of what I say, what I do, and how far I go in my activism simply because they're holding my son hostage.
Right. For those just tuning in, you're watching Showtime TV production Zoom edition. My special guest is the beautiful Rochelle Wilson. Rochelle, you touched on it earlier. You were a journalist. I know you used to work for one of the local radio stations. You're out there right now with your camera. You're at different events. So talk about how you got started in journalism.
My original start was I was 17 years old, and I saw someone out at a park, and they were doing journalism and broadcasting a show or something. And I just kind of walked up behind the manager, you know, and said, I can do better than her. You know, I was 17 and sassy, you know, and full of fire. Right. I'm not as sassy now, but I'm still full of fire. That person, that manager, turned around, looked at me, handed me the microphone and said, okay, go for it. And that was sort of the beginning of my love and my taste for journalism. And from 17 to now, I've done radio, television, media. I mean, I've done it all. And I love it. I really think that this is probably my lane because I am most comfortable in this particular position. And of course, the other thing is teaching. I love the young people. I love youth. And I want to make an impact on their lives. So for 12 years, I went into teaching as a high school substitute teacher, and I absolutely love it. So now I've combined the two, teaching and journalism, to become a media journalism teacher. So
right now, I've been watching your radio shows on Facebook Live. You start talking about your current radio host program.
Well, on Sundays from 3 o'clock until 4 o'clock, you will catch me at WHGE, my Facebook, Rochelle Wilson. I always broadcast to the audience that wants to tune in and chime in. So that's every Sunday at 3 o'clock. And then on Wednesdays, I've recently started something called the Political Power Hour. Okay. And, you know, people who are public servants, elected officials, and people that are vying for the seats of elected official can come on to my show and talk with me, chat with me, because I want to know who you are. And I want to be able to introduce them to the community so that the community can find out who they are before they go to the voting polls or before they mail in their ballots. You got to know who the person is. Do not get into Republican, Democrat, Independent, Green. None of that matters. The party doesn't matter. What matters is the content of the person's character. So on Wednesdays at 7, people can tune in and get to know the elected officials and the candidates.
Right. You know, this is a big election year, 2020. We had the Delaware primary was about a couple of weeks ago in terms of the presidential race. In September, we had a primary, you got the mayor position, you got the city council president, county president, state rep, city council, and all those other fine positions. When it comes to political figures, for politicians, what exactly are you personally looking for? You're looking for people who's going to be there 24/7, or you're looking for people who's going to say what they're going to do? Just give us some examples of the type of political individuals that you're looking forward to vote on.
I've had the good fortune and the respect to be able to peruse the halls and interview and talk with people at Legislative Hall in Dover. So I've met quite a few of our senators, a large number of our House representatives, lots of people on county and city council. I mean, I've gotten a chance to really meet these people and know them. And I can say that there's one person in particular that when I think of an elected official, when I think of a public servant, this person comes to my mind. And so I think I'm looking for fierce advocates. You know, this person, you know, and I won't say her name because it is a female, a Black female, and she is a powerhouse at Legislative Hall. What the hell, I'm just going to say it. House Representative Melissa Minor Brown. She is a fierce advocate for whatever the policy is that she's standing for. She will get up and fight. She will not back down. And that's what I'm looking for. When I'm looking for a public servant and for what I believe in, I'm looking for people like her who will not back down, who will not, you know, do secret barters and deals behind the curtains. Everything that she does, to my knowledge, is transparent, and that's what I'm looking for in my public servant.
Right. Make some intelligent noise, your organization. Are you looking for members? Are you looking for donations? What type of support those who watch right now can get to you?
Right now, Showtime, for the last 3.5 years, I have been a one-woman octopus doing it all. And if God could do anything for me with this movement, other than, of course, release my son from incarceration, it would be to please send me an honest, loyal, and transparent assistant. Like, I really need someone to work with me. I've got a lot of irons in the fire. And it's not that I can't do it. Obviously, I've proven to the world in 3.5 years that I can do it by myself. But I would be further along and so much more successful if I had an honest, loyal, and transparent assistant.
Once again, you're watching Showtime TV edition of Zoom edition. My special guest is Rochelle Wilson. So right now, I think she's having a little technical difficulties. We'll see. About 2 minutes. Just say any closing words of encouragement that you have for those who are watching.
I think if I could say anything, just in closing out, it would be that Harriet Tubman, Araminta, Minty Ross is definitely my #1 female hero and inspiration. And I would say for every young person, find a mentor, find a hero, someone you look up to, and be the change that you want to, see take place.
Right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's going to end our program. Still having a little technical difficulties, but I think she got the point across. You know, be active, stay motivated, stay encouraged, and make a change in your community. Okay, the next time, have a safe week, and peace and blessings. We'll talk to you guys later.